All right, thank you, Mayor. And the next couple of questions, we're going to take a look at the city's infrastructure, starting with Elmira's streets. Do you think more could be done to fix up the city streets? If yes, what could you do? And if no, why do you say that? Mr. Hassel, you'll start us off. You have 1 minute.
I think the city does a good job of repaving streets that need it. It's a constant issue, and however, I do think that traffic could be done in a better way. I know that there are issues over roundabouts, right? But I personally favor them in sites where they belong, and we do have some in sites where they don't belong. So that would be one thing that I would look into as mayor.
Okay. Mayor Mandel, do you think anything could be done to fix city streets? Why or why not? You have 1 minute.
Basically, we need to continue what we have been doing. We obviously done a lot of major repairs and upgrades to city streets and that. We've also implemented what we call an overlay system, which saves the taxpayers money. So when there's less travel on a street, a city street, we will do an overlay on that street, and it lasts for a few years, and it repairs the road at a much reasonable cost. So I think overall we're doing a good job. As a matter of fact, the state just came in and did a road grade on our city streets, and they've been in the best shape they've been in almost a decade. So we need to continue that trend. And this is a tough area to actually work on streets because of the weather situation that we have here in the Northeast with the thawing and freezing throughout the winter.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Hassel, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I really don't have anything to add. I think that we just constantly need to stay tuned in to the needs of streets and to repair them when they're necessary. The Church Street was undone for a long time, maybe longer than it should have been, and thank goodness we've got it repaved now.
All right, thank you. And on that same note, there are miles of sidewalks in the city that are in bad shape. This is a two-part question. First, do you consider that a problem? And second, if it is a problem, what can be done and when? Mayor Mandel, how do you feel?
Thank you for that question. It's a difficult problem because city sidewalks are owned by homeowners. So it's basically the homeowner's responsibility to fix the sidewalks. We are currently searching for grants of possibly helping homeowners out. We're in the middle of trying to do that, to do like a 50-50 sidewalk program. Other than that, it does fall on the responsibility of the homeowner. It's difficult. But I go back to the money we did with our ARP funding where we gave homeowners up to $5,000. I know several people, or many people, use that to repair their sidewalks and make them a much better thoroughfare for people to walk in. So it's a challenge, and we'll keep working on it. And any type of grant or funding that we can get to help people repair those sidewalks, we will do it.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And same question to you, Mr. Hassel. Are the sidewalks in Elmira a problem? If so, what should be done and when? You have 1 minute.
Most cities in the U.S. do exactly what we do. They require the people who live on that block or in front of that sidewalk to repair their own sidewalks. I don't think that's a healthy thing to do. First of all, they're expensive, and second of all, they are really, in some sense, the responsibility of the city. So I think that some kind of a program where there is a division of contributions to it on the part of the owner of the house maybe and the city would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor Mandel, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, we wish we could do that with a city sidewalk program. Unfortunately, it would bankrupt the city and much of the cost it would be. So that right now is not feasible to do. So like I said, we'll look to continue to look for like grant funding and whatever we can to help the homeowners because it is expensive to redo sidewalks.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. And we're going to continue with our infrastructure questions. What should Elmira do, if anything, to develop its riverfront? Mr. Hassel, you're going to start us off with this one. Again, you have 1 minute.
Developing the river, we have a beautiful river. And we've known our troubles with that river, but it is a magnificent river. We need to develop it. It should be the development of that river should be incorporated into the development of downtown Elmira. And by downtown, I mean the north and the south side. So I definitely favor it. It's a beautiful river, and we can enhance that beauty, and we can develop it for more recreation. I highly favor that.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor Mandel, do you think Elmira should develop its riverfront, and what do you think should be brought to it? You have 1 minute.
Basically, we started with Riverfront Park and then doing the renovation on that from our DRI funding that we received in 2016. Basically, we do everything we can to encourage people to use the river. The River Friends does have different things available for river use. Yeah, we'd love to do everything we can to make use and let that river stand out. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do with the walls that are up because the DEC will not allow you to impede on those walls, so you have to take that into account when you're doing riverfront development. But we're always searching for ways to make that riverfront more accessible.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Hassel, your rebuttal, again, you have 30 seconds.
I think there's a lot of potential in the river, and I think where there's a will, there's a way. We'll find it.
Okay,